Onyx, welcome to New Falmouth as we fly down towards episode 18. Now this is going to be a bit of a different one this week, just because I fancied doing something a bit different. So now I did hint at this in the previous episode. I did show you this big kind of concrete block here, but I didn't reveal what was underneath. But I can now tell you that it's actually a house that I'm building that's covered up there by that concrete block. And this house is my own house in the city. So this is Pingyao Residence, and it is well, let's just say that this build might not be the biggest build, but it took me the better part of about 2 weeks to build this house. And the reason for that is this is a completely procedurally object created house. Now please excuse the slight change in the colour theme here. It doesn't last too long. I didn't realise I had it on a different setting, which doesn't look very good, but that doesn't matter, because what we're doing today is as I say, a procedurally object created house from the ground up, literally. I'm not using a house model or anything like that. I am literally building this thing from separate assets, separate elements, and well, literally like you're building your own house. Now, ever since Procedural Objects mod was released, and I remember downloading it the first time and really not understanding what it was or what it could do. But as soon as I looked at a few tutorials on YouTube and kind of discovered that actually Procedural Objects as a mod is completely game changing. I mean, this really is a game changer as a mod, and you'll know from other people who use PO that you can do a lot of really cool stuff with it. But I don't think I've seen anybody build their own house in the game. So hopefully this is a kind of unique video in many respects, and who knows, it might inspire other people to have a go at building their own houses in game as well. Because as soon as I got this mod and realised what it could do, the creativity side of the mod really just lent itself to doing something like this, and I immediately thought, you know, it would be a really, really cool thing to try and make my own house in the city. And what I ended up doing is sort of putting some sketches and things together first of all, just getting ideas of how the house could look. I knew I wanted it to be built on a hillside, and because I was working on the Flushing Hills area, I realised that, well, I actually realised pretty off the bat that that was going to be where I'd be building my own home in the game. So halfway through that episode, I decided to start the house. So I kind of got a little bit sidetracked. As I say, this probably took longer to build, this one house project, than the entire area of Flushing Hills. And you'll know from my previous episode that Flushing Hills is quite a large area. But anyway, getting down to what I'm doing, as I say, this is completely procedural objects. There's nothing that isn't procedural objects apart from a few trees and things, which I don't really show because I just didn't have the time to fit everything in. I had hours and hours of video, I mean too much to be honest to show even half of really what I wanted to show. I'd have to make a good hour video if I was going to show you a kind of like more complete build. But yeah, it took a long time, and it was incredibly detailed. And also, once you start getting down to kind of human scale stuff like chairs and tables and things, you also have to consider things that are on the tables, like ornaments and pictures and, you know, bits and pieces that make up a home. And one of the things about this project that I set for myself was that it was going to be very much about the inside as well as the outside. So I wanted to make sure that I could get some really, really cool internal views of the house, which meant building rooms, which is a little bit crazy to be honest, trying to build rooms in city skylines. And it meant that I had to get to a level of detail which, to be honest with you, was just getting kind of nuts at the end. But you'll see I would suggest, if you don't want to watch me do this for the next 15 minutes, that you skip to the last few minutes where I'm going to be showing you quite a few cinematics and some visuals inside the house, as well as a few sort of external views as well. It's going to look completely different to what I'm doing at the moment. This is the very beginning of the project, but I'm at least showing you how it's kind of being built, how it's being created, using a lot of kind of concrete construction props for the walls, and also I think these window frames are actually part of a kind of pedestrian bridge or pedestrian kind of walkway structure, so I'm using a lot of those for the actual sort of windows and doors and things, trying to keep my kind of assets that I am using to a minimum if I can. And what I did first of all was just add a lot of those into the game, and I put them next to the house so I can easily grab them and move them into position, and obviously, you know, convert them to PO, because pretty much everything here, as I say, is been converted to PO, which means that I've got complete control and flexibility in terms of building the house. Now, the sketches I showed you were kind of very much rough. I kind of made it up to some extent as I went along, but I knew in my head what I wanted the house to look like, and I knew that this position was quite important up on the hillside here, and I also knew I wanted some really cool views from inside the house, looking out, looking down to the city. And I think once New Falmouth is built up a little bit more, because there is a bit of a gap here and there's a few areas I haven't built yet, as well as the downtown itself hasn't been built yet. I think once all that's built, I'm going to get some really good shots from inside the house looking out. So yeah, very different, I think, this episode to some of the stuff I've been doing recently, which has been more, you know, traditional city building, let's say. This, as I say, is a little bit different, so hopefully you'll get something out of it. And I would say, if you're a bit nervous about PO, don't be, because, as I say, it's the most creative, game-changing mod there is. It's my favourite mod for City Skylines, just because of what you can do, you know, with all this sort of stuff. I mean, this is a little Buddha model here. I think it was much bigger, actually, the real Buddha, but obviously with PO you can scale it all down and change the color and, you know, copy and paste everything nicely. And yeah, it's just a fantastic mod, and something that as soon as I knew what it could do, I knew I wanted to do something like this. Originally I was actually planning to build a house in my other city, but I think actually it works better here because it's much greener, and I wanted to have a nice sort of garden around the house, which you'll see in the cinematics, but I don't really show the construction of the garden because that's just a little bit more kind of, I guess, a little bit more traditional, and I just don't have the time. This took me an age to edit this video, it really did, and I wasn't quite sure exactly what to show because, as I say, I had tons and tons of footage, but in the end I've just concentrated on a few kind of key areas. This is obviously the first proper room I'm building, and this is like my ideal kind of study or home office. I think was a little bit inspired by being in lockdown here in the UK, so I've been working at home a lot, so I just thought, if I could have a nice home office, what would I build for myself? So that's my my ideal home office there, and a nice bedroom as well just above it. So a lot of this I kind of roughed out originally, and I worked out the positioning of where the rooms would be, but until you start building it in 3D, you're never quite sure how it works. This area here is actually kind of the entrance hall, so because it's built on a hillside, you'll see there's a bridge there that connects to the pavement or to the road. So the actual entrance is over that bridge, and then you've got your front door there and the kind of lobby, and it's a double height space with stairs going down to the kind of living space, and then the first floor is mainly for the sort of bedrooms and things like that. The flooring I used some tables, I think some garden tables, which I just scaled down to make a kind of wooden floor effect, and that's the sort of thing I'm doing here with these little carpets. I think these are kind of Persian rugs or something from a market asset, and I thought that would be quite a good idea to try and make a little rug out of that asset. So again, just sort of scaling that and getting it into position. Most of the time I seem to be moving walls around with this house. There was a lot of kind of jigging around of walls and things, and also here I'm putting a kind of little shelf in, or kind of like a sort of living room display case or something like that. And it's the smaller details, I think, that really make this build and really kind of finish off. This is just a cardboard box, but you can change the colour of it and make it into almost like an ornament or something. And this, I think, is a cafe painting or cafe picture or something. And again, just using that in the bedroom here, just to make some little kind of pictures and things on the walls, just to kind of finish it off. So you have to be quite kind of creative a little bit as to what assets to use and what you can make look kind of realistic or make look correct in your model. But as I say, I didn't want to use too many assets, just so I don't go kind of overboard with the amount of detail. But I think, as you can see, it is already pretty detailed, which is one of the reasons why it took me so long to do. And I even did things like the ceiling underneath, which I don't really show on this, but obviously because I wanted to get some nice views from inside the house, I had to consider what the ceiling looked like as well, things like that, which it's just ridiculous if you're used to building cities to have to start thinking about ceilings and things. It's a completely different type of build, and even at this stage I wasn't entirely sure how it was going to work and whether I was going to be, whether it was actually going to look good once the rest of the city around it is built. But the cinematics at the end hopefully go to show what the end result looks like, and I am really pleased with the finished thing. It's kind of surpassed my expectations, this, and just shows how powerful Procedural Objects is as a mod and as a tool, a creative tool for your kind of like your tool set with the game, really. I mean, we have so many mods now that we can kind of within reason build anything we want. And so many cool videos people are putting out there, lots of kind of futuristic cities and things like that, which would have never have been possible before without Procedural Objects, pretty much. So yeah, just a fantastic mod. And things like this, just being able to scale it and position it accurately, it's just not possible to do that any other way, really. I'm putting glass in as well, as you can see there. I've got some glass sort of just in the window frames, and now working on a kitchen here, just working out where kind of worktop and countertop is there for the kitchen units. I even end up putting in a little kind of handle on the cupboards. This is a kind of a fence pole, or like a fence pole, and it had this little kind of handle detail on the side, which I then extruded out using PO, obviously, and just positioned in there, and it looks like a little kind of handle on the cupboards. So yeah, just getting a bit carried away with the amount of detail, which, as I say, is one of the reasons why it took me so long to build this house. But I would definitely recommend having a go yourself. I'd be really interested to see anybody else that builds their own house in the game. I think it's a really cool idea to do, and it's something I might do in the future with my other city, who knows. But I think at this stage I'm going to give it a break, because I really want to get back to some good old-fashioned city building in the foreseeable future, just because when you're working to this amount of detail, it can get a little bit too much. As you can see here, I'm trying to make a tap now for the sink, which actually came out pretty well, all things considered. And thinking about how the wall surfaces work, because I didn't want it just to be a load of concrete. So this is, I'm not actually sure what that is, some kind of grill or something that if you sort of scale it down so they become square, then it kind of looks like a tiled wall or ceramic tiles of some kind. So yeah, just putting those in there. But a lot of kind of positioning and rotating, which I'm trying not to show too much, which is one of the reasons it took so long to edit, because there's a lot of fine tuning with PO, and particularly when you're trying to position walls and get things parallel and so forth, which is not particularly interesting trying to view that. So I'm trying to make sure I'm keeping it as kind of streamlined as possible. Little piano prop, which was obviously already made, so I can get that in. A lot of the furniture I'm using is actually outdoor furniture, because I couldn't find too many indoor furniture. You'll notice the sofas there are actually for kind of an outdoor terrace, but they kind of work, I think, for an interior as well. So I can get away with quite a lot of, well, not cheating as such, but certainly using props and assets that might not be designed to be used for what I'm using them for. For example, I'm making some oranges here, which I think this was the point where I just thought, I've got to get this finished now. I can't be mucking about making fruit. This is just ridiculous. At one point I did consider making a banana, but even with PO I couldn't quite work out how I was going to make a bunch of bananas. So we're getting towards the end of the video now, so guys, I would suggest that stick around for the cinematics, because this is going to be really showing you how the end result looks, because at the moment this is only half finished, and once I get the garden in, it's going to completely transform how this house looks. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and as I say, it's a bit different to most of my videos, so hopefully it's been a little bit different to view. I would suggest subscribing as always if you haven't already done so, and do give me a thumbs up, because that's always fantastic and much appreciated. And here we are, flying around Ping Yao residence. Do enjoy the cinematics. I will see you next time. But yeah, take care and thanks for watching. Bye guys.